Chris, what is our first main topic today?
Our first one comes from Var. Hey, John. This weekend, a couple of us sat down and watched the new Owen Wilson movie, Secret Headquarters, on Paramount+. I actually thought it was pretty good, but Michael Pena was given a pretty bad role. Why isn't he getting more A-list material to work with these days? Anyway, I wanted to know if you had a chance to see the movie yet, and if so, what you thought about it. Thanks.
All right, thanks for saying that in. And listen, I have been a big Owen Wilson fan ever since he did his movie with Jackie Chan, Shanghai Noon. He had been around before that, but that was really my introduction to Owen Wilson. And I love that movie. To this day, Shanghai Noon, it's one of those movies that makes my heart smile. I love it. Him and Jackie Chan had such great chemistry in it. Mm-hmm. So obviously I was really excited when they did Shanghai Nights, and the regret was great. I really didn't like that movie at all. But that Shanghai Noon was great. And then he's been in like some of my favorite comedies. I mean, Hansel. So hot right now. Hansel. Like in Zoolander, absolutely incredible. I just love the guy. I think he's great. Wedding Crashers. I can watch him all the time. And so when I saw that he was going to be doing this movie with Walker Scobell, who of course like burst onto the scene in that Ryan Reynolds, The Adam Project movie, and now he's going to be the new Percy Jackson, apparently, I was very curious to watch it. Didn't like the title of the movie, Secret Headquarters. Not a great title. And you watched it and you loved it, and I cannot share your appraisal. Listen, I saw 2 movies this weekend, and we're going to be talking about Day Shift in just a minute. But I will say this, there was nothing about Secret Headquarters that I overtly hated, other than the Michael Pena character, because you're bang on. What's going on with Michael Pena not getting A-list roles? The dude's insanely gifted.
Yeah.
And why he's having to settle for taking these crappy roles is completely beyond me. And you know what's funny? This tells you about his professionalism. Because I'm watching him play this terrible character. He's the bad guy in the movie. And playing this awful, awful, awful character, poorly written character. And you could see him giving everything he had to try to make something out of it. So I think that speaks a lot to the professionalism and the talent of Michael Pena. But listen, the basic idea of a kid finding out his dad is actually a superhero, that's a cool conceit. That's a cool concept. I liked it. It's just that everything was so flat. Again, nothing horrible about the movie other than the Michael Pena character. It's just the absence of anything redeemable, the absence of anything good. The CGI, I get it, it's not a higher budget film, but if you're going to use CGI, try to do it right. And the CGI didn't look good. They used every kind of cliche they could possibly muster in this thing, like to the point that Ann and I are watching this movie and we could tell what the next lines were going to be.
Yeah.
You could just tell what the next lines were going to be like throughout the entire movie. And at the end of it, the credits rolled and it's just like, I wish I could have said I enjoyed it. I wish I could say that I laughed at anything in the movie. I didn't. I wish I could say I found any part of the movie exciting. I didn't. Again, I can't say this isn't one of the worst films of the year because, again, I didn't find anything overtly horrible about it other than the Michael Pena character. But it was an utter waste of time. It was an infinitely forgettable film. I'll never go back and watch it again. And after today, I'll probably never think about it again. So, and again, I feel bad about that because I'm really, as Palpatine looking at a young Anakin, we shall watch your career with great interest. Like, I'm very interested in watching this kid's career go. And I love Owen Wilson, love Michael Pena, freaking Grey's Anatomy. It's fucking stupid how good looking that one guy is.
Oh, Jesse Williams?
Oh my God, it's obscene how good looking that guy is.
An incredibly good looking man.
That is ridiculous.
Who's an incredibly good actor.
He is.
Oh.
And again, he was kind of trying to make something happen in it as well. But I just didn't like it. Anyway, hey guys, we want to take a second and thank the sponsor of this episode, Babbel. Now, as an Italian, did you guys know my real name is Giovanni? Anyway, as an Italian that doesn't actually speak a lot of Italian, I've always wanted to learn better Italian so I could converse with my Italian relatives. And that's where Babbel is a godsend. And for you guys, for all your summer travels, or whether you're going abroad or staying domestic and want to immerse yourself in the culture, now is the perfect time to start Babbel. Babbel is the language learning app that sold more than 10 million subscriptions. Thanks to Babbel's addictively fun and easy bite-sized language lessons, there's still time to learn a new language before you reach your destination. With Babbel, you only need 10 minutes to complete a lesson, so you can start having real-life conversations in a new language in as little as 3 weeks. Now, other language learning apps use AI for their lesson plans, but Babbel lessons were created by over 150 language experts. With Babbel, you can choose from 14 different languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, and German, and others. Right now, you can save up to 60% off your subscription when you go to babbel.com/Campea. That's babbel.com/Campea for up to 60% off your subscription. Babbel, language for life. Chris, you had a chance to watch Secret Headquarters. Did you have a better appraisal of it than me?
I think so. Mostly because as I watched it, I was so excited about Walker and Keith's careers because they're great. They're so good. They deliver lines so well. I mean, he just is a young Ryan Reynolds. And he can deliver these quips and he can be vulnerable. And I think he's so wonderful. And he's precious.
Adorable.
Yeah. And then Keith L. Williams is just hilarious. He is such a consistent actor, which is amazing when you're a young actor to be that consistent and be able to deliver jokes and commit to your bits. And all his jokes with his asthma and his screaming and everything, I loved all of that. I do think that Michael Pena's character was completely unnecessary because Irons, who Jesse Williams played, was so much more interesting and actually had the closest thing to an arc in this, right? So write out Pena, as amazing as he is, that character wasn't, and give Irons a more fleshed out story. The biggest thing here, I feel, is it was, hey, it's superhero movie for kids, which, I mean, superhero movies already appeal to a young audience, right? So there was so much. I kept thinking of Mrs. Doubtfire. You don't need to talk down to kids. You need to talk to them. And I feel like that's where this movie missed the mark a lot of times because there was a lot of potential here. I did have an expectation seeing Jerry Bruckheimer's name all over it as far as the effects were going to go. That was a disappointment. I think there's some good stuff here. And I think if you do have young kids, they'll have a fun time watching this. But it's fine. And it could have been so much more.
I'm going to give a little spoiler away. Just it's completely
Spoiler
not
graphic.
relevant to the overall plot. But like, there's a scene in the movie, because I believe it's in one of the trailers, so it's not really giving anything away, where the kids are in a super van and they're in a car chase. I don't know, like between Easter Sunday and this movie, why they suddenly felt the need to have a car chase in it, I'm not sure.
Why did we have the cop characters at all?
Okay, I could go off on a half-hour diatribe about the cop characters who are doing the car chase. Like, why were they in this movie at all? But anyway, there's this car chase that's going on. The cops are chasing the kids in this super van that have these 3 giant blue thrusters on the back, and they're barely keeping ahead of the cops. Like, I'm watching this, you see the thrusters and the things. Like, this thing should be going 300 miles an hour, and they're barely keeping ahead of the cops. And this is so dumb.
You know who was great in this, though, and wasn't in it enough? Reggie from Riverdale. He played Hawaii.
Oh, that's right. He was Hawaii in that.
He
and
was
as soon as
great.
it came up, I said, Anne went, he's in Riverdale.
Yeah, he's wonderful. I want him to do more. Again, these actors who I think are really, really wonderful, I want them to be involved in better projects because he was doing great stuff with what he was given.
Rob, you also had a chance to watch Secret Headquarters. Did you like it any better than us?
No. And I think that Chris, you nailed it. I mean, you know, John, I had experience working on a film that was kind of similar in Agent Cody Banks. And when Agent Cody Banks was written, it was written with a serious bent to it. And it was written for a slightly older audience. And then the studio decides, let's make it more for kids, for tweens, for 8 to 12-year-olds. And then suddenly they had to dumb everything down. Like, instead of making it feel realistic. I mean, we now live in a world where we have been seeing superhero movies now. There's the biggest movies ever of all time. And you don't have to make a kid's movie that feels like it's made for children who somehow are not as intellectually progressive as kids are today. And it looks like we're watching something that exists in a world that isn't, I hate to say this, but isn't real, in the sense that none of this movie felt authentic. I didn't believe it. And I wanted to. I was excited for this movie. I thought, okay, I didn't believe the kids did the best they could with the material. Like you said, Michael Pena.
Yeah.
Michael Pena, all of the characters. The problem was the material was written for adults that didn't believe their own movie. They were making a made up scenario that they didn't lean into the reality of it. They're just like, this is not real at all. So let's just make it fantastical. Like you said, with the car chase and the rocket powered van, let's not make it real. The problem is audiences, especially kids, are way more sophisticated now. And this is wish fulfillment on the first order. This is, if you found out your dad was a superhero. And
it would explain a lot.
Well, I mean, when you go down, I think kids today would act a lot differently than these kids did. This whole movie was like a construct. They came up with this idea, but they never thought, well, what would it be like if this were real?
Well, I'll tell you the one thing they did, and this is going to be giving a little bit away, but again, it's not a major plot point of it. The one thing they did that I thought was really interesting was when you're talking about nothing felt real, there was one thing to me that felt kind of real, which was you find out in the movie that getting these superpowers and becoming this hero, it ruined Owen Wilson's marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I've never seen one do that before. Like, you've seen it happen because he couldn't reveal his secret identity and that created, no. The wife knew what was going on, but it just so encompassed his life that it caused their marriage to end. Mm-hmm. And I actually like that one thing about it. So if I had to dig for one thing that
the
I thought
wife
was
was
really quite
amazing.
good, I'll say that one part was
she had that whole great part too of like, I don't care. I just don't care.
Yeah.
Show up for your kid, show up for people. I don't care.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did you have a chance to watch Secret Headquarters on Paramount Plus? It's loaded with people that I really like. I just couldn't enjoy it. Obviously, our viewer liked it very much. Maybe you did too. Whatever you guys thought about the movie, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.